once that started, once I realized, oh, that's power. Oh, that was power. Oh, that was power, you know? And then all of a sudden it's like, my life is power.
When I didn't know who you were, Laura, who is sitting behind the camera right now, posted a picture, probably on Instagram, a branding photo. And it was like, Laura was like standing up against a wall. I think she had one foot up, something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, who took that picture? Because you see a million branding photos, you see all of it, right? And I had never really been interested in getting branding photos because whatever, I don't need them. And when I saw Laura's, I think I messaged you right away. She's sitting behind the camera. Who did your photo? Steph Shanks. And I said, duly noted, because when I'm ready, I will do that. And that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that was 2 years ago. And then I finally got mine done. But that's how I knew, that's how you got on my radar, thank God, because your work is beautiful. And I'm so happy to call you my friend. And so much has happened in those last 2 years. So that's why I wanted to do this with you. And so let's start from the beginning. So Steph Shanks Photography.
Yep.
And you specialize in?
I specialize in helping women over 40 see themselves in a new light, celebrate all the things, and just really helping them see the beauty that I see, because it's so easy to look in the mirror and see your faults.
Yeah, I can totally relate. And that's why I wanted to work with you, because you understand and you have that presence and energy, which I did not know back then for 2 years. But I knew that if Laura trusted you to do her photos, and you've done so many photos for so many people, I said, yeah. And then I saw you at Social Media Breakfast, the organization that we're both part of, taking headshots. And then when we did the headshots, the way you lit the space and just the way you processed them, they're just so beautiful in a way that, I don't know, it was just, for me, it was just right for me. And so I knew you were someone that I feel comfortable with, and I feel like I can trust you, and you're such a present listener, and that all translates into your work. And so you're doing such great work for especially women over 40. So thank you very much. But I want to go back, because we've talked about this before. And the last time we were together, we went out for coffee and we had the greatest conversation. And I wish we captured it then, because it was so good. I think we talked for like a good hour. Mm-hmm. So I want to go back, because there's things about your personal journey that I didn't know that's led you to where you are now. So that's what I want to get into. Whatever you want to share of how things were, how they were. What's that saying? How someone put it in the comments, how it's going now. What is that saying? How it started and how it's going now.
Do not edit that out.
No, I'm not going to. How it started and how it's going. So how it started.
Yeah.
So you tell me how it started, because it's a really fascinating, amazing story.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with how the process of working with women over 40 started, and because that'll take me back to the beginning. I was the one looking in the mirror, hating myself, hating my life. I had everything. I had the nice home and the wraparound white porch. I had the cars and the influence, and my husband at the time was the guy around town that everybody loved. He would rescue kittens in the middle of the night in trees. I had created everything I wanted on the outside, but when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. And I realized that I needed to really look at that and figure out who am I?
Well, what was the cause of that? Why didn't you like what you were seeing to begin with? If you had this life, that highlight reel kind of life, mm-hmm. What was it about looking in the mirror that you didn't like about yourself? Did it start before then? Was it happening during the marriage? Was it, not to get, into too many details, but What do you think was the start of all that?
The reason why I didn't like who I was is because I had lost sight of who I am. And what I've realized is that there is no amount of stuff you can buy and surround yourself with that's going to heal you. And I had done everything I could to create this life that I thought would heal me. And it wasn't. And through this process of learning who I am, that's how my business has exploded. And that's why I can connect so well, because I was that woman looking at the mirror, looking at those photos and not liking who I was. When I was 16, I got pregnant, and the story really starts when I was sitting in that room with, there was a woman doing an ultrasound on me. My mom was in the room. And I was kind of in denial for a really long time that I was pregnant. Couldn't even fathom it. So I just kind of kept pushing it away and disassociating from myself and my body at 16. And I'm laying down in this room, and she's, doing the thing, looking for the heartbeat. And she was like, "Do you want to see the baby?" "No, I don't want to see the baby. I don't." And then she's moving around. She's like, "There's 2 heartbeats." And that was looking back now, because I've healed, that moment catapulted my life in a way I never can imagine.
Well, sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's an understatement. Sure. Yeah.
And now that I've healed, I understand the power in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But for years, I was holding on to that as shame.
Mm-hmm.
And, that shame translated into people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
It translated into unworthiness. It translated into trying to find my identity in other people and other things.
I can relate to some of that. I can't relate to being a mother at that young age, but I can relate to the other things. And were you hearing things from the outside? Were people saying things to you, friends and family, or so-called friends and family, saying things to you, or were these just thoughts that were in your own head that really weren't being echoed outside of you?
Oh, no, it was in my heart, and it was around me. I lost my sense of self because I wasn't a teenager anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mom.
Yeah.
So school wasn't home. Home wasn't home, because then I had the shame of my parents and my family. I couldn't be a mom because I was living with my parents, and they had a specific idea of what a mom should look like. So and then I had people saying, "Well, you're a baby raising babies," and I had people saying, "You can't do this. You have,
Were your parents supportive though emotionally? They were there helping physically
with the twins."
Yeah.
Yep.
But they were also.
Yeah, I was being judged everywhere. I was being judged at school at such a young age.
Sure.
16 is when you're supposed to be. Doors are supposed to be opening, and all my doors at the time felt like they shut.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw it from all angles, from the inside and the outside.
So you're raising these babies.
Yep.
Moving on from high school. What were your 20s like?
Well, when my twins were about 6 months old, we realized that there was something wrong with Drew, and he wasn't progressing in life, and he wasn't. He was weak, and his muscles, like, he would try to grab something and his thumbs would go in, and he couldn't grab stuff. So I've had this time now, 6 months to, they were in the NICU for 3 months, and then they came home. They're home for 3 months. I'm like learning and starting to like create this idea of what my life will look like.
Uh-huh.
And then you get a diagnosis of cerebral palsy. And all of a sudden, it's like, you keep going in life. Okay, I'm pregnant. I got this. okay, twins, I've got this. And I just kept going, and I never processed that, you know. And then I started thinking it was my fault, right? Because that's what happens when we don't process we implode. And again, it's such a relatable story to so many women. It just happened to me early, you know.
I'm sorry, I don't have tissues.
No, it's fine. No, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good now, but reliving all of this, it's a lot.
Every time I tell the story, another piece comes out.
Yeah.
So then I have people telling me on the outside I can't do it. I don't have a place to fit in. And my self-esteem is nothing. And I meet a guy. And this guy, I think, is like my knight in shining armor. I was 19 at the time. Ignored all the red flags. He was reckless. He spent money. He was homeless.
Oh, wow.
But he paid attention to me, and he accepted me and the twins. He wasn't afraid, you know? He didn't make me feel like this huge mistake that I felt like I was.
Yeah.
So I latched onto him. We get married. He's abusive.
How old were you when you got married?
21.
Okay. So you're with him those 2 years?
We were 2 years. Broke up a couple times. And I start seeing these things, right? He wants to go out with his buddies. He's not coming home. He's spending money on random stuff that he shouldn't be spending money on. And okay, I'm going to fix this. We should get married. You know, because then all of a sudden you're like, I want to fix this person. I'm going to be this person for this, you know. So we get married, we buy a house, and I'm just trying to like create this life. Okay, now my life is going to work out because now I have the guy, I have the home, I have a job as a massage therapist. So I went to school, and everything's just like falling apart. So the more he's out doing whatever, the more money he's spending. We're $50,000 in debt at one point. The more I'm just trying to save him, completely losing myself again.
Thinking if you made him happy, everything else would fall into
then
place.
why can't I make him happy?
And this is your fault that this is the way it is.
Yeah. Yep. So that was my 20s, was being married, owning a home, being in an abusive relationship, not saying a word to anybody, because what if somebody perceives me as a failure again? Yeah.
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 And so that lasted all the way to the end of your 20s?
27 is when I got pregnant with my third child. Right around the same time I found out he was cheating on me for the first time. First time cheating on me, it was I saw, you know, like when we used to get phone bills, I saw all these like numbers, you know.
No.
So I called the number, and I remember it's like, oh, this is Jocelyn's.
Oh my God.
Leave a message, and I'm like, who's Jocelyn? And the whole thing, you know, came out that, of course, he wasn't cheating on me, but they were really good friends, and
of course,
and I believed him.
Yeah.
And I believed that he didn't have a drug problem. He was crashing cars. He was falling asleep in his car.
Oh my gosh.
He had a job at this point.
And you have a child together now.
I have a child with him, and I have twin boys with disabilities that are now in grade school. So now I'm dealing with that whole thing all over again of teachers judging, and not understanding, feeling like everything is my fault.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
and feeling completely alone in all this too.
Yeah.
No one to talk to about this.
Right. And this is the thing, is that my story is very like loud or dramatic, but we all go through those moments in life.
Different versions, sure.
And we think that there's something wrong with us, that these moments are happening. And the reality is that those moments are making us really, really strong. But we have to be able to release that shame, talk about our problems, and realize how fucking fucking strong we are.
But when you're in the thick of it, you don't feel very strong.
You don't.
You feel like, how am I going to dig myself out of this? And I feel alone, and I don't know how to navigate through this.
Yeah.
And it's me.
I'm
the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And the only way to get through these moments in our life is to reach out.
Yeah.
And talk about the problems that we're having, so that when you look at yourself in the mirror, God damn, I'm strong.
Yeah.
Look at what I just did.
Yeah. And I'm not alone. And people go through different versions of this. We've all gone through something. We're going through something.
Yeah.
And we need to reach out to some. Yeah. I'm like that. And I still have those tendencies now where I don't want to bother anybody. I can handle this. I'm strong. Yep. I can handle this. Look at me. Look what I can do. I don't want to bother anybody with my stuff because they have their stuff. So who am I to bother them? I don't want to be a burden. And one of my girlfriends said the other day, she said, we want to be there for you. We want to know what's going on. Allow us to support you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a challenge for me, like daily, like remembering, yes, look at me, I'm doing this. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself. Yeah. But at the same time, when I'm having a hard time, being able to text a friend or call a friend and say, I just need someone to listen right now. Yeah. You don't need to do anything. I just need to talk about it.
Yeah. And realizing we didn't deserve all the bad things that happened.
Of course. Right. Yeah. But it made us stronger. And now we can relate to someone else who needs us down the road.
Yeah.
So you went to, you turned 30.
Well, okay. So he eventually leaves me for another woman.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember that when we talked about that.
Yep. The first marriage. Yeah. So he leaves me. And immediately after I meet the next guy, he's got 4 kids. And okay, now this guy is my knight in shining armor.
This is the one.
The last guy wasn't. I'm fine. So we move in together right away.
And how old are you at this point now?
Like 29.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My son's like 2.5.
Okay.
And, I gloss over the first marriage, but the first marriage is really, really bad. And I still unpack stuff daily because I'm writing my own book now.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I'm...
Oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And it was really bad. And I didn't even realize how bad it was. I was just like going through the motions.
Till you started bringing it all back up and
some of that stuff. So I don't blame myself for like falling in love like I did with the second guy and thinking that this was going to save me. I had, since 16 now, people telling me I can't do it on my own. Mm-hmm. And that sticks with you.
Sure.
And now it's very visible. Drew's a disability. He's in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. So my wounds are very visible to people. And
wait, go back. How do you say your wounds are visible?
What I mean when I say my wounds are visible is when I was a teenage mom, I had two babies. You can't really hide 2 babies.
Yeah.
And then, and who's going to love me? Mm-hmm. Right? So now I'm back being single. I have a wheelchair van. I have a kid in a wheelchair. He needs care. Mm-hmm. Almost all the time, mm-hmm. Who's going to love me? The last guy didn't love me.
He left me, so I guess I'm not lovable. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just validated what I thought.
Yeah, so I don't blame myself for this. And I fell hard. It was roses and it was dinners and it was wine and he just knew how to like hit the charm button, and I've never been treated like that before. So we move in together, and he's got 4 kids. I got my 3 kids, and I just want him to love me.
Yeah.
And of course, that when you want somebody to love you, love doesn't work like that. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is reciprocal.
And you were just seeing what you wanted to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So we start building a life together. and we're unhappy. We fight. So what happens when you want somebody to love you? And I was trying to get back to that first couple months. Okay, he really loved me then. You know, he was this and he was that. And I chased that dream for another 7 or 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And in that time, we moved houses a bunch. We buy houses, sell houses. And then I was always just trying to feel something with him.
And by doing these things, it felt like, oh, this is how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to, because I'm doing it with him. We're doing these things together.
Yeah.
So that's keeping us happy.
Yeah. And I felt so hollow going through the motions.
Oh.
And I thought there was something wrong with me.
How is he treating you at this point when you're doing all these things?
Not badly.
Okay. All right, so he wasn't abusive or anything?
No, not abusive.
He just
at all.
wasn't, it didn't feel like there was any presence or connection?
Yeah, I remember telling him on many occasions, I feel like a lamp.
Oh.
I feel like I'm just here. Like, I'm just something that's here. You know, I couldn't describe how I was feeling, and that was like the best I could do. I just want him to pay attention to me.
Yeah.
And so we went to therapy, and so then the therapist is also he also works for her, so he is her handyman. If she needs something, if she has raccoons, remember the kitten story? You know, like if she needs anything, he's there. But he's like that with anybody.
Was he already doing things for her before you went to sessions together?
Not at first, but as his business grew, then
okay.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I don't want to say something because then the therapist is going to be mad at me. I felt like I was under a microscope, and like anything I said that was out of line was going to get brought up in therapy. So I just learned to be silent.
Oh my gosh. So you couldn't even get healing through therapy?
I couldn't get healing anywhere.
Yeah.
But on the outside, it looked great.
Ugh.
And I would go weeks where I wouldn't even say a word, and I would just cry. And, you know, I'm like, don't you see how broken I am? You know, like, it's like, and again, the story keeps going back to, I was living my life through what other people saw me as. I was a wife to him, and I wasn't a good wife to him because he didn't see me as that.
You thought you weren't being a good wife.
Right, because I didn't get the connection from him. I wasn't a good mom because my parents told me I wasn't a good mom. Wasn't a good friend. You know, so all these things, I'm not. But I'm going through the motions like I am.
Uh-huh.
And I hated myself. What changed was when I went to Santa Barbara for a month, and
you just decided to go get away by yourself?
I thought maybe I could save my marriage by starting a business in California and living 6 months there and 6 months here.
Oh, wow.
I was so desperate to save our marriage.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why I went to Santa Barbara. But Santa Barbara, you know, standing on those cliffs and looking at the ocean, realizing how vast the ocean is and how vast the universe is and how small I felt, the contrast of that was like, no effing way.
Yeah. I'm not going back to that.
No.
Yeah. And so how did you do it?
He came to visit, and we tried, you know, I got my hair cut there. This is like the thing. I got my hair cut really short, really cute. And he gets in the car and he doesn't say anything about my haircut. You know, he's like, you know, like going off about whatever. And then we get in a fight somewhere and come back. And I just told him, hardest thing I ever could say to anybody was, I can't do this anymore. crying. And
did he even see it coming? Did he even realize, oh, this has been building for a long time? Was he surprised? Was he?
He didn't have anything really to say. He pulled out his phone and he was like showing me some truck he was going to buy or had just bought for his business, and that was really it. He left, and then I came home and we got divorced. There was never any conflict, never anything. I spent a few months going through all of our stuff, in the basement. He wasn't part of it at all. He just kept going, doing his thing, and it was as mutual as it could be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was left to go through all the stuff, and it was.
But you felt finally free.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, I was 40 years old, starting over.
Oh, that happened when you were 40?
Yeah.
So you were together that long?
Yeah, it was like 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm starting my life over again at 40. And what's become of my life. So when we're faced with big decisions, all we have to go on is our past. Mm-hmm. We can't even think about the future. So what held me back for so long from making these hard choices for myself is all I knew. I can't do it on my own. What are people going to say?
What you were taught to believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would get close. I would get on that edge so many times in my life. And all I had to look back on was what I perceived as failures and not actually how strong I was becoming at 16 in that ultrasound room. That moment was that was a moment of strength for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's no shame in that. That how many teenagers are having sex?
Uh-huh.
Once that started, once I realized, oh, that's power. Oh, that was power. Oh, that was power. And then all of a sudden it's like, my life is power.
Look how far you've come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
all that you're able to get through.
Yeah.
You get the divorce.
Yeah.
And you're ready to start a whole new life. Mm-hmm. Free of him. Mm-hmm. Blank slate.
Yeah.
And so is that when you decided, were you already into photography at that point? You just started to go into photography then?
No, I've been doing photography full time since 2013.
Okay.
But that was the time when I started focusing on women over 40.
Okay.
Because I knew that being a woman we shouldn't feel the way I felt for so long.
Yeah. And that's why women feel like they can trust you, because you are so relatable. You know what it feels like to say, I can't get in front of a camera. Who am I to show myself and shine my light and be visible and feel empowered and,
It's the hardest part when I photograph somebody and they don't see what I see, because I see power and strength.
So you've been doing that all this time, and you helped me when I said, yep, getting my photos done. Got to get my photos done. And who am I get? Steph. And and I was feeling vulnerable that day. I was feeling self-critical. I was seeing myself as someone, I'm older, I'm heavier, I'm not the 30-year-old, whatever, that I remember. And I'm criticizing myself instead of saying, look how far I've come in the last how many years. And how I've got, and you made me feel so comfortable, and I love my pictures, and I just appreciated your energy the whole time. And so that's the main type of photography that you're focusing on now. You do other types too, but that's your main one that you're most passionate about.
Yeah. I do all kinds of different photography.
Yeah. Two big things that are going on right now. Mm-hmm. You have a podcast. Mm-hmm. So talk about that.
So the podcast just started a few months ago as well, which is something I really wanted to do, but I was afraid. Just interviewing women, mostly, that have gone through really hard things, and what they've learned from those things, and how they've transformed their lives and others.
I love that. I feel like we're all kind of on the same train of just helping each other share each other's stories just so we remember. We're going through stuff. We've been through stuff. We're not alone. And we have a lot to share and teach and a lot to remember. Yeah, I love your podcast. And tell me about the book.
The book just started because I knew that I wanted to leave something behind.
We cry.
For
your kids.
Yeah.
We have to get tissues next time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That makes so much sense.
I wanted them to know how much I love them.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So you're in the middle of writing that now?
Oh, I'm at the end of it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
It's fine. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so you're at the end of that. Do you know, you're self-publishing?
I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet.
Okay.
It's been the most healing thing I've ever done in my entire life, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you write it with a co-writer, or how does that work?
No, it just I wrote it, and then I use I'll take a paragraph and then enter it into AI.
Okay.
And then I'll be like, okay, how does this sound? And then AI will give me pointers.
Oh, okay.
Or it'll say like, oh, go deeper here. And either I can do it or I don't. You know, it's AI. It's not real. But it's helped me with prompts and different things.
Yeah, so helpful. Yeah.
And yeah, it started at 16 and then going through all the marriages. And the best part about all of this, which I, of course, now that we know Stephanie she feels bad about everything, is that shortly after my marriage, I met a guy. And right, here we go again, Stephanie. But what I've learned now, because we've been together for a couple of years, is that you can actually heal within a relationship. You don't have to go off and be a monk for years. You just have to recognize your patterns and you have to recognize your strengths. And you can be in a relationship that my boyfriend now, he doesn't take from me. You know, we go on vacations together. He has his own home. It's just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to feel bad that I'm in a relationship again because I've had terrible relationships.
Of course. Right.
And of course, for a while, I'm like, oh, it's too soon. It's too this. Yeah.
And you talk to him about this, or you don't even have to, because...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I talk to him about whatever I want.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
And he's
I don't have to pretend to be anybody else anymore. Even with this, even talking to you, I don't have to pretend like all of that stuff didn't happen.
Right. You affect one person who can relate to your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. So the photography, and so Madison area.
Yep.
Is where you...
All over, but yeah, a lot of Madison.
The book is coming out. Listen to what's the name of the podcast?
It's called Unwritten.
Unwritten.
And I think I'm going to, season 1 is done. I'm still editing, as you know.
Yes.
And then season 2 is I'm going to be starting season 2 pretty soon. And I'm actually going to change the name of it to Breaking Free.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. After saying that whole story, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so I wrote down 3 things that I wanted to end with.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Just kind of a little more about you. So what's the first one I wrote? I wrote, what are you most proud of?
My kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tell me their names.
Drew, Justin, and Gavin. Super proud of them all for different reasons. Gavin's my youngest. He's almost 17 now. And just watching him follow his passions it's healing.
Mm-hmm.
He's free.
Oh,
he's free from his dad, you know.
Yes.
That guy just fell off the planet, basically. So he's free.
And you have each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's free from my parents, all of it. You know, he's free.
Okay, next one. So this is getting a little lighter now. Well, let's go to, if you have a latest book, movie, or show that you really love that you can kind of say, hey, check this out?
My favorite show right now is The Golden Bachelor. It's the most wholesome thing on the
On TV.
There's nothing more wholesome than right now anyways. I'm sure it'll get worse midway through. So I love Golden Bachelor. I love, anything that's just like heartfelt, and heart-centered. It just,
Yeah,
yeah.
because sometimes it feels really rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, on YouTube, Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
Doing his meditations now I'm on like week 3 every day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Super powerful stuff. Yeah, I like him too.
I love anything with the universe.
Yeah.
You know, anything that just is expansive and heart-centered.
So that tied into my last one. My last one was guilty pleasure. Kind of, the Golden Bachelor kind of falls into that.
Yeah, I would say that's it. Cheese. You know, when you're healed, that you don't need a lot of things. I'm not healed completely. I just don't need a lot of things. Like, I'm really just focused on helping other people tell their story, telling my own story, and that's what's feeding me.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find you too. Yeah, website, social, all the things.
Yeah, my website's stephshanks.com. My podcast is on YouTube, and it's also on Spotify, anywhere, and that's unwritten.
Awesome.
Steph Shanks Photography is my business, so you can Google that.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And your work is so important, so
So is yours.
we love you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.